What's going on, guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. So we're going to go over a bunch today. Please stick around. I'm going to trim these clips together because I'll be all over the place. We know that Brad Garlinghouse will be on 60 Minutes. I believe this is airing tonight. We can see Sunday, December 8th. So for anybody watching my channel this year, we talk about the usual cycles, measuring length, looking at time after halving, after elections, just speculation and looking at all of these cycles. And for anybody that watched my channel over the past couple years throughout the bear market, we talked about these cups of Bitcoin's momentum, the monthly RSI, as we can see, and we are getting another cup. Now here we're looking at Bitcoin on the monthly time frame, specifically when the RSI gets over 80. So just looking at the last two cycles, when it's over 80, I know most people will go, oh no, it's overbought, sell, sell, sell. They have no understanding of the cycle. The higher the momentum gets, the more bullish it is. So this is just based off the previous cycles. Do we get another cycle? We have no idea. Nothing is guaranteed. So please keep that in mind the entire time. I believe we get another cycle. Now looking at the monthly RSI down here, the momentum for Bitcoin for 1, 2, and 3, all three cycles reached at least 90 plus, as you can see right there. And looking at the monthly RSI for Bitcoin today, we are right around like 76. We have to break through this resistance to be really confident. But if and when Bitcoin's monthly RSI gets over 80, we absolutely fly, and I'll explain why. And throughout this bull run, and I believe we are already in the bull run, we got the first major move, which was my confirmation. We want to stay above the 8-month EMA with monthly candle bodies the entire time, just like previous cycles. So that level for reference is around 76,000. What's good about that 76K level is that is above the previous March 1st all-time high, and then even back to the previous cycle top. So throughout this cycle, I'll just be watching the 8-month EMA, just like I was watching it back here, saying it's important for monthly candle bodies to stay above. And even back here, we held it fairly well. We did get flash wicks along the way. So long story short, just like this full monthly candle body above this level, I am bullish. So as long as we are just ranging and we keep monthly candle bodies above that level, I am bullish. If we close a full monthly candle body below that level, I am bearish. Because looking at Bitcoin during the past three cycles after the halving, after getting the first major move, monthly candle bodies historically have always held above that level for the trend to keep going up until a cycle top. We can get flash wicks below. But we can see in 2013, 2017, and then into 2021. So back to this chart, we can see in 2017 when Bitcoin's monthly RSI, the momentum broke through 80, we can see previous resistance and then powering through in a huge, over 1,000% return. And then at the end of 2020 into 2021, we broke over 80, and what did we do? Over 200%. So I just wanted to share that if and when we break 80, I know there are concerns of 100K being that big psychological level. It's possible, but ideally, if we break through 80, getting another 50 or 100% move to the upside is very, very possible. Alright, let's quickly go through this. We'll go through the liquidity cycle, which is an absolute must listen to understand how liquidity enters the crypto asset class each cycle and why prices go up. And then we'll run through some alts and a few pieces of recent news if we have time. Alright, so looking at the last two cycles, this is Bitcoin in 2017 getting the first major move, this first full monthly candle body over the previous cycle top, drawing its first wave over 100% before then pulling back 30-40%. See here we can see almost 140% doing a flash crash, almost 40%, and then doing it again, and basically another 30% drop on the way up, holding this 8-month EMA, even Wix holding this level perfectly as we can see. Multiple points, so let me just show you 1, 2, 3, and 4. Looking at last cycle, we can see a similar thing. This is on the weekly because the monthly time frame doesn't accurately show the 30% pullback, so we got the first big wave to the upside, also over 100%, and then a 30% crash. And looking at today, we can see that Bitcoin over the previous cycle top right here has pushed 50% thus far. So I just wanted to point out that the last two cycles, first waves were well over 100%. Does that mean that Bitcoin is going to do the same thing? No, it does not. I know that there's more money in it. We could see diminishing returns. What I want to see over the coming weeks, even the next couple months, is whether Bitcoin is chopping sideways, it pushes higher or pulls back. If it pulls back, we want to see the monthly candle body, a full candle body, maintain above the 8-month EMA or 76K. A 30% crash or pullback from here down to 70K. It could do a flash wick, it's possible, but overall, right or wrong, and do not make decisions off of this video, I believe we are nowhere near a cycle top for Bitcoin. I already showed you the monthly RSI, it reached over 90 for the last three cycles, we're still below 80 encountering resistance. Dark red were the previous cycle tops on the Bitcoin Bull Run Index, you can search this website. And we know that dark green were the last four cycle bottoms, as we can see. In the Pi cycle top indicator, which accurately mapped cycle tops for the last three cycles, even here aligned with the monthly RSI that I used, is nowhere near a cycle top. And even just loosely looking at this, for every cycle we've gotten over this green moving average, the 350-day MA multiplied by 2, getting well above it, and then even above it in 2021. And that level today, for reference, is 126K. The topping indicator occurs when we get a golden cross of this yellow or gold cutting through the green like the past 3 cycles. This was actually in the middle of the cycle, a big pullback, but we stayed above the 8-month EMA with monthly candle bodies back in 2013. So if you're looking at the pi cycle top indicator and you think that it could be accurate for another cycle, we need to form a golden cross, meaning that this yellow has to go much higher and cut through the green. And if that were to happen, Bitcoin has to go a lot higher. So we know this green moving average is at 126,000 for the last few cycles. Bitcoin has always gone above this level, but as Bitcoin is going up, both moving averages go significantly higher. And since Bitcoin has already hit one of its first fib extensions, the monthly RSI hasn't even broken 80, we're looking at a lot higher fib extensions for this cycle. So let me just show you really quick. We'll draw some new fibs on this bad boy. So swing high to swing low, wick to wick, and we can see that we have hit the 1618 Fibonacci extension absolutely perfectly. I'll try to clean it up just so it's exactly wick to wick, but we can see right up to the 1618. So the point being is, if you're bearish, all good. Yes, we could range here or reject for a bit, but if and when we break through 80, which is what I'm looking for on the higher time frame, and I'll wait as long as it takes, we are going to much higher golden extensions. And looking at that pi cycle top indicator, that green moving average, and you can look at the pi cycle top indicator on Bitcoin Magazine Pro or even Glassnode completely free. And each cycle, Bitcoin has historically gotten well above that level. So hopefully I shared a few examples of why I'm excited in this potential setup for 2025, and the question is, where do we go? How high can we go for Bitcoin? And I know it's fun talking about price predictions for crypto assets and altcoins, and the highest return for altcoins is based on how high Bitcoin can get. So we need to see the monthly RSI in the future break through this level and start running higher like the previous cycles, and Bitcoin can reach some of these golden extensions. The question is where? At 150K, that's really good, but if we went to the 4.236 over 200,000, that's even better. In between the 2618 at 150K or the 4.236 at 240,000, we are talking about almost a $100,000 price difference. So 100K in price difference for Bitcoin equates to a $1 trillion market cap difference. And that could be the difference between even high caps in the top 10 doing between a 3 to 4x or maybe even an 8 or 10x plus. And then scrolling down through assets ranked by market cap, those assets with smaller market caps have much higher price potential. I hope you guys are enjoying today's video. If you found anything interesting, be sure to hit the like button. It helps the channel out, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on. I want to go over this tweet I put out today, how Fed liquidity drives crypto bull runs. So if you guys have kept tabs on what Raoul Pal shared with the everything code, we've gone over it. It is super exciting. And if the Fed actually adds to their balance sheet like last cycle, this could be a much bigger bull run than we think. And I believe his targets for the crypto asset class, if the Fed adds to its balance sheet, like I'll explain here, is over $10 trillion. So don't quote me, go watch his channel to confirm that that's still accurate, but that's really exciting. And as we're going through this, remember, this is not financial advice. If I'm talking about different assets, this is what I am doing. I don't know your personal financial situation. I don't know your personal goals. I don't know your risk appetite, but this is what I'm doing. Friendly reminder for anybody new, no matter how confident I am in crypto or any altcoin specifically, there is always risk. Nothing is guaranteed. Altcoins can get rug pulled. They can go to zero. Anything can happen. So please understand, if you are doing anything in the crypto asset class, be accountable for your own choices. If you're playing with a new wallet or DeFi, always recommended to test it with a small amount first. Make sure you understand what you're doing. I don't want some young kid taking a big loan and doing a big leverage long. I don't want a parent to refinance their house. If you do something stupid, that is on you. I know nobody wants to hear about black swans. Everybody wants to be excited, but that is something to always keep in mind because I don't know the future. And if Bitcoin starts breaking over 80 on the monthly RSI in the future, I'm going to be very excited. So I'm trying to give a bigger disclaimer now. I could be completely wrong. I encourage everybody in this asset class to find, if you don't know already, your motivation and your why. So my motivation and why, of course it'd be nice to get a bigger house or 2 Lamborghinis, but that is not what drives me. What drives me is initially retiring my parents comfortably, leveraging different things like the lifetime gift exemption. So that is my priority. My mom is still working. She doesn't deserve that with everything she's been through. My dad is a leukemia survivor, but since his stem cell transplant over 10 plus years ago, he has graft versus host disease, so his body is rotting away. If you looked at his skin when he takes his shirt off, he literally looks like Deadpool. Back in 2020, I was stupid. I was younger, I was naive, and I'm still naive today, so in a few years I'll look back and realize how dumb I am today. But I saw a lot of money, I got excited. This time I'm ready. So let's go over this really quick. We'll go over the Velo price chart, and we'll also talk about a topping structure for Bitcoin in the future if we get another cycle and how to try to guesstimate the cycle top. Alright, so right here discussing how Fed liquidity cycles can drive bull runs, and last cycle specifically, this drove a huge bull run with quantitative easing. So this is a huge economic indicator of the Fed's monetary policy, and if you go on TradingView, you could just type in the balance sheet. It should be the first option that pops up. Some may say this is just a coincidence. I think this is just a huge correlation of global liquidity as M2's rising, as Raul highlights in detail with all types of stats. But looking back in 2020, March 2020 was the bottom of the crypto asset class. So we can see since that point, the Fed expanded its balance sheet by $4.5 trillion up until 2022. So over $4 trillion was injected into the economy and crypto went up. So I don't think that's just a coincidence. Yes, we could argue adoption and the Bitcoin halving, but I think there's just a lot more things at play here. So when the Fed started doing this, adding much more liquidity into the economy, printing money so the supply of the US dollar's increasing, money printer go brrr. The crypto market cap grew from roughly $140 billion to $3 trillion, so basically a $2.8 trillion increase in the crypto market cap. Now we could look at 2013's bull run, and then this liquidity, you could argue, led to 2017's bull run, and the market cap of crypto was a lot smaller, so crypto went up massively in 2017, and the Fed liquidity didn't take off during that time. Adoption was growing, we had the rise of Ethereum in the altcoin market, there were all types of things that also grew the crypto asset class. But last cycle specifically, this took us to multiple trillions for the first time. And looking at last cycle, just looking at a factor of 0.62 based on the growth of crypto as the Fed increased its balance sheet by 4.5 trillion, that's basically equivalent to $620 billion per $1 trillion in expansion by the Fed. And I also want to emphasize that I don't know if the Fed is going to shift monetary policy and expand and this goes up, but if this goes up, that is very bullish for crypto. I threw some bullet points in just to quickly summarize it. So when this goes up, there's increased liquidity. The Fed is injecting cash into the financial system, usually by purchasing government securities. So the money supply and liquidity goes up. When this happens, risk on sentiment shifts. More investors want to go after risk on assets, e.g. crypto. Because with more liquidity, the borrowing costs get lower and investors tend to seek higher returns. And as the monetary supply increases in this scenario, if the Fed's balance sheet goes up, the dollar gets weaker and weaker, making alternative investments or other store of values more appealing. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys, and that is very exciting because last cycle we went from $4 trillion to almost $9 trillion with the Fed during expansion. We can imagine if the Fed, whenever or if it even shifts monetary policy going up $2 trillion, $4 trillion, or even higher, that would be absolutely huge. So this is just a big macroeconomic indicator to watch into 2025, the Fed balance sheet. Alright guys, we're going to finish up today's video looking at the Velo price chart. So I'm going to look at the monthly and the weekly time frame just to show you how I map out key levels, and you could apply this to a bunch of other assets. I know that each chart is different, but hopefully I show you what I'm looking at on the higher time frames as I work my way down. And when I pull up the Velo price chart, just remember, if I show all the levels and there's a really high level, I'm not saying that Velo goes to the highest level. I have no idea. I treat it as one level at a time. So I'm looking at the immediate levels right above it. If it breaks through that and establishes support, then I'm looking at the next level. So it's one level at a time. And anybody that has studied it and is familiar with the past cycles, the cyclical analysis, this is the potential if we get alt season where Bitcoin dominance crashes, Bitcoin is creating higher highs and runs even higher. And in that scenario, which I hope we experience in 2025, every investor, even new investors, are going to be throwing darts at a board on CoinMarketCap, picking different assets, and it's a matter of the project being legitimate, having a community, and ending up just getting a huge rotation of liquidity from whales, which is what we've seen during the past two cycles. So to some degree, it is completely unpredictable. That's why I just try to buy assets that are low, set some targets, and do my best to stagger out my sells. If you're new to crypto and you're interested in learning about different strategies for a successful exit plan, I retweeted this tweet today. Feel free to check it out. And friendly reminder, I have Merlin linked in the top of the YouTube video description, the smartest way to track your crypto. Based on your portfolio and your entries, you can set up customized exit plans. Ignore this portfolio. This is on a mock account just to show on YouTube, but I do hold all these assets, just not the same allocation. Alright, so I made this tweet today covering Caleb and Brown trying to move my Velo from Uphold and just having trouble because my account is restricted on Uphold again. I feel like I've sent so many selfies this year and I still can't withdraw, so that's kind of annoying. Uphold is good for US residents to find hard to find assets. The user interface though kind of drives me nuts, but it's a good option for hard to find assets. I just shared here that I have some Velo in decent and cold storage, but I'm trying to move the Velo from uphold to Kilbin Brown and just set and forget and leave some high sell limit orders for this cycle. For anybody that watched me in 2021 for last cycle, I'm still using Kilbin Brown and they have some exciting things on the way. They have over 300 assets, direct swaps, and a 30% discount on trading fees. And I'll be sure to go over this in the future, some updates and benefits for everybody that's used my link in the past for Kilbin Brown. If you already have preferred exchanges, no worries, but I have Kilbin Brown, I'm verified, I'm ready to go. I always have a compliance, regulated OTC broker that's my on and off ramp, because having problems with Uphold, where I can't even withdraw, I don't want to deal with that. And at least with my Velo with Kilbin Brown, and I've gone over this in detail, I can set limit orders while it stays in cold storage. So feel free to check out Kilbin Brown. I usually cover them every few months. This is linked in the YouTube video description and right in the top of my link tree. Even if you don't use it, make sure that you have an account that's verified, just so you have it as a just in case. At least during the last cycles, different exchanges went down for a couple hours or trading, and it was fearful, and some exchanges disappear, so hopefully we never get another FTX. Alright, so I saw this comment by Anna, then we'll go through the Velo price chart and call it a day, and apologies guys in advance if I am terrible at answering Twitter comments. I have a lot going on. I try to go through the YouTube comments, and when I do answer YouTube, that is me. I'm not paying somebody to answer on my behalf because I think that's stupid. I just get really busy, especially when prices are moving. So we have Anna asking, hi Kevin, what are your targets for Velo this cycle, and also would you roll over some Casper for Velo? So let's pull up the price chart. Alright, so this is back in March. I know I covered Velo, I believe, a little bit either at the end of March or in April, and this is when I filled my limit order for Velo on MEXC, and these were the original price levels I was looking at. Now I want to give a big disclaimer, small caps, micro caps, anything like this are very high risk, high reward, so anything can go to zero, and that's how I treat these investments in crypto. I do treat higher caps as safer, even if I'm wrong. So we'll look at this and then we'll dive into the price chart today just to show you how I look at key levels. So right here we can see this is an R3 pivot. If I turn on the Fibonacci pivots that I was looking at previously, we already hit that level recently. So we can see the April 2022 high. We've already seen some altcoins hit this level. They're March and April 2022 high levels. We have right here the R3 from last year, just looking at that area. I'll overlay some fibs and look at these levels today, by the way. We can see up here at 95 cents from that price that is over 160x. And really just some moon boy levels of the R3 in 2022. I was looking at the 21-month EMA. I'm going to pull up the 34 because I've seen a bunch of assets already tag this. In Velo at the time, its market cap was a lot smaller, and then we can look at the monthly RSI. So this is what I really look at for a variety of assets. That RSI that is yet to cross the 50 line and really run, there's no guarantee that it crosses, but for assets that do cross 50 or even cross 70, that's mega bullish. So here we have back in September just showing this Adam and Eve pattern. This is just a hopium look holding above the 50-week moving average. And then right here we have a cup, ideally looking for a measured move, breaking out of the handle. So another 600% move from that level. So we'll look at that today. So that chart I showed you was right around here, and that wasn't necessarily some perfect Adam and Eve pattern. That's just something I was looking at. Ideally, an Adam and Eve pattern would actually break out and then kind of retest the top up here and keep going. We came back down, but notice the support of the 50-week moving average. So as long as an asset stays above and closes weekly candle bodies over this yellow MA, this 50-week, it looks bullish. So we have 1, 2, 3, multiple points of support and continuing the uptrend. Now turning the lights on, I left the measured move if this is going to be a big or elongated cup and handle pattern. So 600% was the height of this loosely, and then 600% from the breakout or the top. And it looks like we're potentially re-challenging this previous resistance. That would take us up to like 10 cents. And you can follow my cursor right here at this measured move, and I haven't adjusted this. We can see it's right on that wick where my cursor is there. So I do think that's interesting. Looking at the weekly time frame, so we are over 70. This is bullish, especially if we can get up to previous levels, as we can see, well over 80. I know people will say this is overbought, but where we are in the cycle, this can still run higher, and then Velo can run higher. The main thing through the ebbs and flows of the market, the ups, downs, and all these waves drawn, is staying above the 50-week moving average. That level today is at 1.2 cents. So as long as during any pullbacks we stay above that level, I'm still bullish. Going to the monthly, we can see this yellow moving average is finally showing. We have seen assets like Algo already hit this level. And really just watching this monthly RSI, so you can add this to your trading view chart just to keep tabs on the monthly and the weekly for a variety of assets throughout this cycle. We've seen assets pump really well if they can cross the 50 line. So an example would be like HBAR just getting that really strong cross and running. We can see CHZ right here starting to cross that 50 line, coming up to previous resistance levels. We got Curve, RSI was low, it's starting to wake up. So we're starting to see this for a bunch of alts. So on one of the charts earlier this year, I was looking at this 21 EMA. I'm actually starting to target the 34 EMA for a variety of assets, and that's really high for Velo. Today it's at 12 cents. The longer it takes to hit this is going to come down as well. And this might seem silly, but this is what I do for a variety of assets, is just watching one by one starting to hit that 34-month EMA or even surpassing it. And yes, I'm using examples of assets that already retraced and pumped up to the 34 EMA to look at that potential if we can see that monthly RSI get that strong cross over the 50 line for virtually every single asset. There are still plenty of assets that are still sitting below the 50 line, yet to hit the 34 EMA, so Kava, Energy Web, etc. My whole plan, like most, is to buy low and sell high, so trying to buy any assets that could potentially be laggards and follow behind the leaders. And remember, this isn't anything crazy. This is looking on the monthly time frame, so every single candle is like a 30-day period. So this is not the tomorrow chart. This is just the big picture outlook. You could find plenty of people out there on Twitter that are really good with wave counts and trying to get more accurate and looking at the lower time frames, going down to the daily and look at different scenarios. Going down to the weekly, we'll look for any large imbalances or fair value gaps. And along the way, just want to stay above the 50-week moving average during any pullback. So if we keep running, awesome. But if we do come back, I want to see us hold above this level just like it did here, here, and here. So I'll go over an example, but these imbalances were already filled. So we're going to scroll up and look for any sell side imbalances. And I'm using the Velo Tether KuCoin chart just because this is one that I found that has the highest level of historical data or price action, so I can see these swing highs. So right here, I can see a small weekly fair value gap. So I go to, and I'll try to zoom in just to show you. So this is the first candle. It's a series of 3 candles. So 1, 2, and 3. So I go to the bottom wick of the first candle, and then I go to the third candle. So 1, 2, 3, and I go to the top of that wick and see if this wick right here overlapped with this wick. If there's no overlap, there is a gap in liquidity. This is a sell side imbalance. So right on the weekly time frame, I found a key level that I would be looking at if Velo got price action, and this is a sell side imbalance. When volume comes, this can usually act like a magnet for price action. So I would just scroll this all the way over. And this is a beautiful example. Some charts aren't as pretty, but we can see that right here. We even tested it, but we never closed this gap. So it would be closed if the price comes up and closes it completely all the way just over 5 cents. So that's one I don't think is, hopium or moonboyish. I think that just a bunch of assets have already done this, so that wouldn't surprise me in the future. Here's my target one. I do think this gets hit in a typical alt season. I might just sell all there if I get lucky and hit that level, but if Bitcoin goes way higher, I might try to keep some and go for some moonboy targets. Some might say no way that Velo goes up to 90 cents, but I've seen crazy things happen in crypto and you just never know. I'll also go over market cap valuations in this just to conceptualize it. I know this video is probably getting really long, but this is what happens when I'm sipping coffee and talking crypto. So we have a fair value gap at 5 cents, more so in the shorter term. If we get price action, I'll see if there's any buy side imbalances below. So that was closed. We can see this was pretty much closed, so I don't really see any right here. And going above, just looking for more gaps like this purple rectangular box. Let's kind of scroll through this. So I also see one right here between 11.4 cents and roughly 12.2 cents. And if something really big happens, we do have a very fat weekly fair value gap for Velo all the way up here. So this is ranging from say like 40 cents all the way up to 73, 74 cents. So maybe I'll even lower this, moonboy target to this level. I'd be super happy with that ROI, but yeah, we'll see. So market cap, we can see the circulating supply has been verified. You can always actually check the block explorer right on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. You can see the total and max supply and the circulating supply. So that's also a consideration. And market cap is 200 million, so a 5x up to 1 billion in market cap. So 5x from today's price, that is basically a 14 cents Velo. So I think that's well within the realm of possibility for Velo. It's a smaller cap. These smaller caps can do 5x's pretty easily, especially when Bitcoin dominance really crashes as Bitcoin is going up. And anybody that was here last cycle, remember DAG was a small cap at the time, and from its cycle low, it took off and did a 70x in a bull run, so it's possible. So I went through those gaps at 5 cents. I went through this gap around like 12 cents, we'll say loosely right there, and then a really fat gap starting around 40 cents. If Velo had a $1 billion market cap, about 14 cents. If it had the market cap of Compound, let's look at an asset with a $5 billion market cap just for fun. We could do Tau or FET, which is ASI, so let's just do FET because it's below 5 billion. So if Velo absolutely ripped to $1 billion or even went to 5 billion, that is a 24x up to 73 cents. Which would be awesome because that would actually pretty much close that gap right there around like 72, 73 cents. Another consideration is to study the Velo tokenomics and see how much Velo could be added in circulation in the future as well, which could dilute price. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know this was a lot of information, but basically if Bitcoin runs over 80 with the monthly RSI, I believe we get another cycle. A bunch of assets are going to do 5, 10, 50 extra turns relatively easily. I can guess on Bitcoin's timing based on previous cycles and the Bitcoin halving. Maybe Bitcoin tops in April, maybe it doesn't top until October. We can look at the Fed balance sheet and see if the Fed starts expanding monetary policy and it increases, and then look at when they actually stop doing that to try to gauge a cycle top. I think that is really interesting that Raul Palace shared as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys, and I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts down below. You can find all links to my crypto resources, including tools for charting, trading bots, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts right in my link tree in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.